get right now. Remember, we are the best at providing you edutainment. So we're going to be entertaining, but we're also going to teach you a little bit of something. So right now, we would like to welcome Mr. Alan Pruitt. Hi, Alan. How you
Hello.
doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are y'all doing?
We are great. We are excited to get these finances in order, Mr. CPA. Okay.
Yes, indeed. I love it. I'm here for it. I love it.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, he is here. He's right here in the city, and he's ready to help you. Okay, not just us, he's ready to help you. So make sure you jot down anything that you have. If you have any questions, make sure that you also put them in the comments so that he can see right here and respond to you live. So Alan, let's jump right into this. What do you have to tell people first? Because I'm sure that people ask about your background, they ask all these things. What is something you feel like people should know about you?
I am someone who is I'm passionate about spreading knowledge. I love exactly what you said. Edutainment. Oh man, that's a good word. But I'm someone who's passionate about educating people and letting them know. Because obviously I'm a CPA, I deal with taxes, finances, budgeting, all those things. And so for a lot of people, it's a little bit of a scary topic when you're talking about taxes or budgeting or saving, all those type of deals. But I want to be educational and informative and let people know that, hey, you can do things on your taxes. If you're a business owner, if you're an investor, there's so many tax breaks and deductions out there. If you're starting a business, if you have a side hustle going, then hey, let's do that foundation up right so we can grow that business, save money, invest more, build generational wealth, for our family. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Okay. All right. Listen, that's really important when deciding to work with someone, ladies and gentlemen. I'm always trying to tell you how to make these things work for you. If you cannot communicate properly or you're not understanding anything that your CPA says because you don't get their background, that can be a major issue. This needs to be someone that you can connect with, that you can keep a consistent relationship with, especially when it comes to your business. Okay. Do you agree with me there, Alan?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I've once heard that, your superpower in life is what comes easy to you, but difficult to others. So, I truly feel like, my superpower in life is helping people understand their finances and their businesses and their taxes and not talking over people's heads. Cause, I'll get new clients coming in, like, hey, I talked to my CPA, we have a meeting. I have no clue what he said. So I want to make sure that I'm breaking it down so you understand everything that's going on with your businesses, with your life, and in your taxes.
Okay, because I feel like that's one of the most important things. Tuck, did you have any questions for him so far?
Well, just on a personal level, like not me personally, but like for someone who's younger, who's starting out, who's trying to get themselves financially stable, maybe someone who's just graduated college, they have this debt here, and like, what are some things that they can do to kind of set themselves up for the future?
Yes, that is a great question. So yeah, I deal with a lot of young people all the time, and I want to, exactly like help them out, and give them the blueprint. And so I think the first thing to know is, especially if you're in college, we all know student loans is a big topic. Don't run away from them. At least you need to at least know what your amounts are, because then you can start making a plan to attack them. So many people kind of put their heads in the sand and, don't want to look at it, don't want to know what my balance is. But I think that's so important to be able to first just start there and be like, hey, okay, this is what I have. Okay, so let's set a plan forward to attack it. And then I think that next step is kind of setting a plan. It doesn't have to be a huge, grand plan, but at least take that first step. That first step is the most important. And to me, what that is one, start an emergency fund. Doesn't have to, you don't have to be doing $500 a month or anything, but hey, if you have extra $25, extra $50, then start kind of setting that aside in that emergency fund for things that might come up. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that's super important when you're just getting started, when you're just starting to, maybe get that first job, making a little bit of money, is kind of setting that plan, knowing what your numbers are, knowing what your debt is, and understanding where your income is, but then making a plan to kind of start saving a little bit of money for that.
Okay.
So I'm about to get real here, because I'm just saying live. Let's be real. There are plenty of people out here. They got the business started. They making a little money, but they ain't putting none of it up. Look, they ain't putting none of it up. Okay.
Nope.
And they definitely don't know how to make a budget. So tell me, when you don't have that money put up, where do you start? Because people do start asking, what's your budget for this, that, and the other? For those people out there who don't know where to start, what's a tool or a resource maybe that they could use to get that ball going? You said create the emergency fund. Maybe that could start being budget money. Maybe, how do you suggest that they start? They've been having this business running, we're going to say maybe up 6 months. But they haven't been putting the money in the right place, and they're trying to get there, and they need a budget because they're looking for a loan. Let's do that.
Absolutely. So no, great question. So here's what I would say, do that. Yeah. If your business has started a few months, even a year plus, whatever the case might be, the best place to look at is your history. What you've done in the past is usually the best indicator of your future. And so a lot of people are scared, of the B word, scared of setting that budget. But what you do first, look and see, how much money have I been spending? So on this business that I've been doing for 6 months now, how much money am I spending on this business each month? And then that is actually the beginning parts of setting a budget to see, okay, hey, I'm spending this month, I'm spending, $200 a month on subscriptions. Hey, I'm spending this much on supplies. Look at those previous bank accounts and then say, first off, do I need to be spending this much on that? Is there anything I can cut back on that? And then, start organizing that, putting that together. And that's the beginning basis of what your budget looks like. So, if you've been up and running a few months, then, hey, look at what you've been doing, kind of put those numbers together. And then that can kind of set you up and give you a better understanding of, hey, maybe I'm spending too much in this area. Maybe this area here is why I'm not as profitable as I should be in this business. So I think that's the beginning basis of where you start.
Looking at your past. I know y'all heard it. I loved it because that does make a lot of sense. When you find out where you're bleeding, okay? When you find out where you're bleeding, cut that back and save that money. Don't just look. Save it, because something is going to happen. Something is always going to come up. Y'all know that I have been running a small business for quite some time now, a couple of them actually. But when it comes to those unexpected things, they can be small range from $30, that you need a tripod stand, when you're podcasting, or it could be something major like new insurance for your trucks. I also have a hot shot delivery company, that's thousands of dollars at one whop. So you definitely need to have that emergency fund that he was talking about. And I do think it is a good plan to look at what you have spent and did it go to the right places. You got any questions for Mr. CPA?
Yes, I have one. Okay, so let's just say they actually just starting their business. And a lot of times in the beginning, you have to put out more than you have coming in. How long should they actually, I guess, partake in it before they realize they need to cut their strings before they're, upside down or dead broke?
Good question. So I would say on that is, look at the potential for revenue first. Like, in most businesses, you're going to have, a good, decent amount of startup expenses. The good thing about that is when you're starting those up, that's a tax write-off. We can take all of those deductions, put them on your tax return, and that helps save you a little bit of money, so that helps you out to start. But however, we don't want to be doing that forever because we want to have a profitable business in the long run. So I would say, as I mentioned before, kind of look at your expenses, see what you've been doing, but then to see if it's viable going forward, look at your different avenues of income. And hey, am I going to be making am I going to be making at least how much I'm spending? So first figure out what that break even point is. So, hey, if you've been spending, $500 a month on expenses, well, can I make $500 a month in this? If not now, maybe in the next 6 months? What are your plans for growing your revenue? Because that's going to eventually tell you if that business is going to be, viable in the long run. And then what I would say on the second point on top of that is look at different revenue streams. I always tell all my clients, I was like, hey, I love various revenue streams, and you can have multiple revenue streams even in one business. So look at different ways that you can, present your product to people on different levels. Because let's say if you have, a certain product that appeals to this one level, well, can I have a different tier of this product, maybe a lower tier, maybe sometimes a higher tier, to kind of diversify that revenue a little bit there too.
All right. Well, we have a question from David. It says, why is it so easy to get college loans, car loans, mortgage loans, but hard to get business loans?
That's
and
a good one.
He was absolutely, I'm going to tell you, we did not prepare him for all of this. Okay. We were supposed to be talking about the tax deadline coming up on April 15th. I'm sure.
We have a tax question
and
too.
how y'all need to be prepared. Okay. So he's going to do his best to answer these, but that's a good one. I think you've got the answer to it.
Yes. No. I love it. Bring it on. I love talking about this stuff. So, I mean, if I'm being honest, the reason why is because, when you're in college, when you first getting those loans, you don't know any better, and they know that. And so therefore, they're going to hook you up with these credit cards, and, you don't know what you're doing. And
True.
So you are a prime source of revenue where you have, you run up all these credit cards and whatnot, and you're paying all this interest. If it's one of your first, credit cards, you're just thinking like, hey, oh, I got a $5,000 limit. That means I get to go out and spend $5,000. But, newsflash, one of the most amazing quotes I've heard is that interest is the most powerful force on earth, and it's either working for you or against you. Gotcha. When you're taking out all those loans, it's working against you. However, if you're doing what we're talking about and, setting $25, $50, $100 aside a month, putting that off into a savings fund, then that interest is working for you. So that's why it's so difficult, because getting, business loans, because they want to make sure that they're going to get their money back. You have to be in business, usually a couple years. There's some ways I work with clients around that, where we really focus on getting clients business credit, because a lot of the times, as we were talking about, when you have that business and you want to get it funded and you want it to grow, sometimes you need that funding to do it. And so I work with clients a lot on, getting their business credit, business profile set up so we can do just that. But yeah, I would say that that's one of the biggest things that, they know who to target, in those things. And so that's why it's a little more easier to get on that side, but on the business side, it could be a little more difficult.
I'm going to say before I say what I have to say, tell them where they can find you, either on social media, your website, so that they can contact you in regards to getting their finances straight.
Absolutely. You can find us across all socials at Pruitt Prep CPA. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and our website is pruittprepcpa.com, or email at info@pruittprepcpa.
All righty. Okay. So now my response to that, David, is don't let the paperwork whip you. Okay. A lot of people tap out because there's so much paperwork when it comes to getting small business loans, whether that be your business plan, whether that be all these different things that you have to put in before we'll see a return on that. The paperwork can get you. Don't let it get you. Go to somebody like this who can help you out, who can put all those things together the proper way prior to even applying for the loan. Make sure that you have all your dots in a row, if you will, prior to even going to the bank. And then select a bank that gives to you or your type of person. Okay. You need to start looking at who actually gives out the loans. So lots of people might say that they do, but you can definitely go and see the statistics for who they're giving it to.
Yes.
Right. So make sure that you guys definitely pay attention to that. Now, tell us about this deadline and what happens if you miss it.
Yes. So deadline this year is April 18th to get your taxes filed. So so super important to make sure you're getting all your paperwork together, for small business owners, whatever you've been spending, make sure you go back through all your, business accounts, credit cards, make sure you get all that stuff together, because as we've been talking about, we want to make sure that you are getting all your deductions, you're getting all your write-offs. And so if you've been going throughout the year, kind of, spending money here, spending money there, now's the time to really start putting that together, because we want to write all that kind of stuff off. And so, so that's super important, because as I mentioned, when we were talking about a business that might be spending a little bit more money, well, if we get all those write-offs and deductions in, then that'll get you a bigger refund back. So we want to make sure that we get all that stuff together.
All right. Now, I have to ask you this, because we know all these companies are out there pushing to get your business. Do you believe in QuickBooks, or, like how they have your annual, for people to actually go and put their information inside of those systems? Or do you believe in like having a real person, or what are your standards on that?
Yeah. So I would say on this, if you were just starting off, you can probably figure out, look at some trainings, do a few different things to get your kind of books in order, kind of be your own bookkeeper for a little bit when you're first just starting off, if you're in those first few months. And then, as we talked about, that's one of the things that's why we need to be looking at expenses and our potential of revenue, because it might not necessarily make sense for you to, be paying somebody to do your books. But I definitely suggest all small businesses need to sign up for some kind of accounting program. Everybody knows QuickBooks. I also use one called Xero with the Xero. And, I know for a fact with that one, we're talking about $13 a month to get you an accounting system, So I think that's super important, because then once you have that business bank account, if you have an LLC, you have that business bank account, make sure it ties to that. And then we are capturing all of those different deductions. And then, if you do have something that you spend, let's say you're going on Amazon and buying supplies or need something there. Well, hey, go back through those Amazon statements and make sure that you're looking at everything that you spent for business and adding that up, because we want to be deducting all those items for you.
Hey, y'all can't say y'all didn't get no good information today. I think we are dead on. This is Alan Pruitt. If you guys are just tuning in, this is I'm Just Saying Live, and we're giving you some edutainment. Okay, so I think that we've come across some really good things. I wish we had some more questions in those comments, ladies and gentlemen. I know y'all want to ask something. What you got to ask, Tucker?
I have a question. So let's say someone who hasn't filed taxes, right, in years. Mm-hmm. What steps or what initial steps do you think they would need to take?
So my best advice is to start getting that stuff together now, because it's a whole different situation when you go to the IRS saying like, hey, I had these 4 back years of taxes to file, versus them coming to find you. We don't want those IRS problems. So I'd say start getting that together now. You go to them and be like, hey, okay, yeah, I know, I have these 4, however many years back. Let's start working on that now. You can actually go directly to the IRS website, and you can pull what's called a wage and income transcript that shows you all the reported income that you earned in back years. So that's the first place to start on getting those things together. And then, go to a professional or start putting those returns together, because even if you owe, then the good thing is the IRS will work with you. You can set up a payment plan on amounts that you owe with the IRS. So, I know a lot of people are scared and, don't want to do that, like, oh, I missed a year, missed 2 years, and they just let it keep going. Well, don't do that. And then plus the other bonus side to doing that is that if you do have a few back taxes you have to do, you can only get a refund back. Let's say you're getting a refund, you can only get a refund back up to 3 years. So if you had a refund, if you're waiting to file those returns, you could be missing out on money there. So go back and do those taxes.
Your emergency plan, guys. Look.
Exactly.
Okay, so I was gonna say this because you touched on getting a professional. Now, could you explain to people the difference between tax professional and tax preparer?
Yes. So
the hard way, ladies and gentlemen. So here's your turn. Okay, there is a difference.
Yes. No. Yeah. There's a big difference. So I would say a tax preparer is someone who, hey, you take all your documents to, they're gonna put it in the system, figure out what it is that you owed, or figure out your refund, but pretty straightforward for the most part. So when you come to a professional or a CPA like me, what we want to do is ideally, we actually want to work with our clients throughout the year, because we want to be proactive and making sure we're writing off everything that we possibly can. It's a lot of people don't realize this, but the IRS is really nothing but a reward system. If you are doing the certain things that they want you to do, you get tax breaks, you get deductions, you get credits. So what I do as a CPA, we're working with our small businesses, we're working with our individuals and our investors to make sure we're taking all of those deductions, because we don't want you overpaying in taxes. We love tipping waitresses, but we don't want to tip the IRS. And so we're going to make sure we're putting all of that stuff in for you so that you are having the lowest possible taxes.
All right. I think we beat all the nails in. What do you think, Mr. Thomas?
I want my money.
You want the
Get
money?
it.
I'm a foul. I don't need Big Brother telling me I owe him nothing.
They're not gonna give him no money. Anyway, we got to pay all the time. We always give some away. I was like, oh my God. So maybe we definitely need to come and check you out. Hopefully you can get that number down.
There we go.
Look, can you at least get it to a reasonable?
Yes. I'm telling you, yeah, when you work throughout the year and take advantage of all the breaks that are out there, absolutely. You can, as a business owner, you can literally live tax-free. You can literally live tax-free as a business owner.
What was that email again?
info@pruittprepcpa.com. I got you.
Yes, sir.
You got us. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you got the information. Do you have any events or anything coming up? Maybe a tax class to help teach people or anything like that you would like to share about right now?
Yeah, actually, I'm working on a couple of tax class webinars for for small businesses, for investors, to make sure that as I mentioned, we're claiming all the deductions out there. So the best way to keep informed on that is hit us up on IG, Pruitt Prep CPA, our YouTube channel, or email us, and we'll keep you informed on all the good stuff that's upcoming.
Okay, one more thing. Now, how do you keep up to date on all the information?
Oh, good question. So, you know what I love doing, and I actually do a lot of because for my license, I have to do what's called CPE, educational units. So I go to a lot of conferences. Okay. And to keep up to date on all the upcomings, all the IRS changes, different tax strategies we can implement. And as I mentioned, as a business owner, I get to go to these places, and it's business deductible, tax deductible, trips and conferences and whatnot. Perfect example. I'm going to France this summer for a mastermind, tax deductible. So when you're working with your CPA throughout the year, those are kind of things you can do.
Okay. All right. So everybody, please go make sure that you check out Mr. Alan Pruitt, CPA, and he's going to help you write it off if it's legal. Okay. Remember that, because I know a lot of y'all get out there and you start trying to say, well, can I do this and can I do that? He's going to tell you the things that are right versus wrong. Okay. But good luck to everybody, because tax season is definitely here. We are well underway. Alan, we thank you so much for being on and live today.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all. Keep up the great work.
Absolutely. Love the information that you provided today. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.